Every night, when you lie down to rest, you believe you are recovering strength. But what if, unknowingly, the objects you keep closest to your head are silently stealing that strength away? Not just your energy, but your health, your clarity of mind, even your wealth. In ancient traditions, it is said the space around your resting place determines the quality of your life. Tonight, I will show you why certain items at the head of your bed are not harmless, but heavy anchors pulling you into illness, misfortune, and unnecessary struggle. When we speak about the bedroom, most people think only in practical terms. Where the bed should be, how soft the mattress feels, whether the light is too bright or too dim. But when we look deeper, beyond the surface of comfort, we discover that the bedroom is not simply a room for sleep. It is a chamber of energy. It is the space where your body restores itself, where your mind processes the day, and where your spirit retreats into silence. What you allow into this space, especially around the head of your bed, will either support this restoration or disturb it. Every human being carries an energy field. You may not always see it, but you can feel it. You notice it when you enter a room and sense whether it is peaceful or heavy. You notice it when you meet someone and instantly know if their presence uplifts you or drains you. The same principle applies to your resting place. The head of the bed is not an ordinary area. It is where your most vulnerable energy is concentrated. As you sleep, the body is in its most defenseless state, open to the subtle influences of what surrounds it. And because sleep is not passive but deeply active, repairing cells, balancing hormones, restoring clarity, the energy flow around your head directly shapes the quality of your rest, and therefore, the quality of your life. When the head of the bed is filled with objects, you may believe they are harmless. A book, a phone, a small decoration. These seem insignificant, but nothing is insignificant in the language of energy. Each item carries a vibration, a story, a weight. The more objects you allow into this space, the more interference occurs in your field while you sleep. Instead of silence, your mind is exposed to signals. Instead of clarity, it absorbs noise. The result is subtle but undeniable. You wake not refreshed, but slightly drained. Over weeks, months, years, this small drain becomes a river that erodes vitality. Ancient traditions always treated the sleeping space as sacred. They understood that the bedroom is a place of renewal, and that renewal cannot occur in chaos. The head of the bed was to remain clear, quiet, symbolic of a clear mind and an open spirit. In modern times, this wisdom has been forgotten. We surround ourselves with electronics, reminders of work, objects that trap stagnant energy. We invite the external world into a space meant for healing. And then we wonder why peace feels distant, why fatigue never leaves, why illness creeps in silently. When you begin to respect the energy flow of your bedroom, you are not following superstition. You are practicing alignment. You are allowing your body to do what it was designed to do: restore, regenerate, awaken with vitality. The first step is simple: recognize that the space around your head is powerful, and it must be treated with the same care you give to your body and your thoughts. What you place there either nourishes your life force or drains it. The choice is yours. Clutter is something many people underestimate. They see it as a little mess, a few extra objects placed here or there, and they believe it has no real effect. But clutter is not just physical, it is psychological. Every object in your environment speaks silently to your mind. And when those objects are kept closest to your head, the most sensitive part of your resting space, they begin to create a weight you may not even notice until it is already shaping your life. Think about how it feels when your desk is crowded with unfinished work. Even if you are not touching those papers, your mind knows they are there. They represent tasks undone, responsibilities waiting, burdens unlifted. Now imagine carrying that same energy into the place where you are supposed to rest. The clutter at the head of your bed becomes a silent conversation with your subconscious. You are not finished, you are not free, you are still holding on. Instead of deep relaxation, you sleep under the pressure of unfinished business. During the night, the mind does not simply switch off. It processes, organizes, and attempts to bring order to the chaos of daily life. But when your environment reflects chaos, the mind receives conflicting signals. Instead of restoring balance, it continues to struggle. This is why clutter at the bed's head makes you wake up feeling heavy. The body rested, but the mind never did. It spent the night wrestling with invisible weights placed around you. There is another layer to this. Clutter represents attachment. Every object you keep is something you have not yet released, and in many cases you do not need it anymore. Yet you still hold it. This physical attachment reflects the way the mind holds on to old emotions, old experiences, old stories that no longer serve you. When you surround yourself with clutter, especially in the most sacred space of your rest, you reinforce the habit of clinging. And what we cling to we carry, even into our dreams. If you want to experience true lightness of being, you must understand that rest requires emptiness. The head of your bed should be a place of silence and stillness. No objects pressing against you, no piles of books, no reminders of what has not been done. Just space, because space is freedom. It is in empty space that energy flows, that breath deepens, that the body and mind can finally release. When you remove the clutter from where you sleep, you are not just tidying your room. You are teaching your mind how to let go. You are saying to yourself, the day is complete, the burden is put down, I can rest. That small act changes everything. It turns your nights into true restoration and your mornings into new beginnings. There are objects people keep near their bed that seem practical, even comforting. But in reality they are sending the wrong message to both the mind and the body. Among the most dangerous are items connected with sickness or decay, medicines, half-used prescriptions, reminders of injuries, or even stagnant objects that no longer carry life within them. At first glance, you might think these are harmless. After all, medicine heals, and keeping it close feels convenient. But when you understand the relationship between the subconscious and the environment, you see the hidden cost. The subconscious mind does not interpret logically, it interprets symbolically. If the last thing you see before sleep and the first thing you notice upon waking is a packet of pills or reminders of illness, you are repeatedly telling yourself that sickness is present, that the body is weak, that health is uncertain. Over time, this suggestion settles deep within, and the body begins to align with that suggestion. Instead of preparing itself for vitality, it prepares itself for weakness. Instead of believing in renewal, it believes in fragility. Objects carry intention. Fresh flowers beside the bed communicate life, growth, and beauty. But stagnant water, spoiled food, or unused medication communicate decay. The body responds to this language whether or not you are consciously aware of it. Your bedroom should be the place where the body learns to trust in its ability to heal itself, where the subconscious receives only signals of safety and strength. By surrounding yourself with symbols of illness, you are, without realizing it, programming yourself for the very state you wish to avoid. Even electronics fall into this category because they disrupt natural rhythms. Radiation, constant signals, glowing lights, all of these act as irritants to the body while it tries to rest. A phone by your pillow may feel like connection, but energetically it is noise, and physically it is stress. The nervous system does not fully disengage because it senses stimulation. You wake up not because you lacked hours of sleep, but because those hours were never pure. Consider also the weight of objects carrying emotional illness. A photograph tied to grief, an item that reminds you of loss, a symbol of conflict, kept close to your head. These are not neutral. They continue to whisper their story into your rest. The body listens, the spirit absorbs, and the result is disturbed dreams, shallow breathing, or unease you cannot explain. The solution is not difficult. Remove these silent intruders. Allow your resting space to be free of reminders of sickness, decay, and noise. Replace them with nothingness if needed, because emptiness is better than poison. When the space around your head is clear of these signals, your body begins to trust the night again. It begins to heal as it was designed to heal, free of interruption, free of false suggestions. We often think of wealth as something purely external, measured in money, possessions, or opportunities. But in truth, wealth begins with energy. It is the flow of life force, the vitality that fuels creativity, decision-making, and the courage to act. When your energy is strong, you naturally attract opportunities and handle them with clarity. When your energy is leaking, even the greatest opportunities pass by unnoticed, because you lack the strength to respond. This is why the placement of objects around the head of your bed is so important. Certain items may seem harmless, but symbolically they create a slow drain on your abundance. Consider something as simple as keeping your wallet, cash, or financial papers beside your head. On the surface, this may look like safeguarding what is valuable. But symbolically, what you are doing is exposing your wealth to the most vulnerable hours of your life, when your defenses are down and your energy is scattered. Instead of keeping wealth grounded and protected, you invite it into a space of instability, where it cannot grow. In ancient teachings, wealth was never placed near the sleeping body, because sleep is about surrender, not control. By mixing the two, you unconsciously weaken the energy that sustains prosperity. Sharp objects, tools, or even decorative items with pointed edges have a similar effect. They cut through energy, disrupting the calm circulation needed at night. The body feels their presence even if the mind ignores them. And this subtle disruption reflects itself in your daily life as scattered focus, financial inconsistency, or sudden obstacles. Just as water cannot flow smoothly if the channel is blocked, wealth cannot remain steady if your energy field is constantly disturbed. It is also important to recognize how symbolic reminders of debt, bills, or financial pressure affect you when kept near your bed. They imprint a message of scarcity. Imagine falling asleep each night with the silent whisper of unpaid obligations resting above your head. Over time, this reinforces a mindset of lack, and what you believe consistently, you eventually live. The subconscious does not separate between symbol and reality, it accepts both as truth. If your environment repeats the story of financial struggle, your life begins to mirror it. True prosperity is not built by force but by flow. It comes when your energy is aligned, steady, and free of unnecessary drains. That is why the head of your bed must be kept clear of objects tied to money, debt, or sharp disruption. Your rest should serve as the foundation of abundance, a nightly renewal of strength that allows you to face each day with clarity. There are objects that do not simply sit silently in a room, they actively reflect, magnify, and echo energy. Mirrors are the clearest example. At night, when the body is at rest and the spirit is most open, a mirror facing the bed does not bring peace. It multiplies the image of your vulnerability, bouncing it back at you. Instead of stillness, you are surrounded by reflections of yourself, and the subconscious interprets this as intrusion. It feels as though someone else is present, even if the room is empty. That is why many people report restless sleep, sudden awakenings, or a sense of unease when mirrors stand too close to the bed. The same principle applies to photographs of those who have passed away or symbols tied to conflict. These objects do not belong near the head of your bed because they keep the mind bound to energies that are not restful. A picture of the deceased may seem like love, but in your hours of restoration it becomes a reminder of loss. Instead of nourishing life, it reopens grief. Likewise, symbols of conflict, objects associated with arguments, aggression, or unsettled relationships, carry vibrations that disturb the harmony of your rest. The subconscious, which speaks in symbols, does not distinguish between what is real now and what is only memory. If the environment whispers of loss or fear, it accepts that whisper as truth and disturbs your sleep accordingly. Even decorative items that create too much movement, such as wind chimes, shiny surfaces, or objects with chaotic patterns, can unsettle the stillness required for healing sleep. Rest is the art of sinking into silence, yet these items introduce stimulation where there should be none. The result is shallow sleep, dreams that are unsettled, and mornings that do not feel renewed. You must understand that your sleeping space is a mirror of your inner world. If what surrounds you at night reflects confusion, fear, or attachment to the past, then your inner world cannot settle into balance. The environment is not separate from you, it is part of you. To heal the inside, you must first arrange the outside in a way that encourages harmony. This is why traditions across the world warned against mirrors, troubling images, or restless objects in the bedroom. They understood that the mind in its most open state absorbs not only thoughts but also the language of its surroundings. When you clear your resting space of reflections, of reminders of grief, of symbols that stir conflict, you return to a natural state of safety. You allow the night to hold you without interruption. And in that state, the body repairs itself more deeply, the mind loosens its grip, and the spirit wakes lighter. The true transformation does not happen simply by removing harmful objects. It happens when you begin to approach your environment with conscious intention. Most people live in spaces that were arranged without awareness. Things are placed where they fit, where they are convenient, or where habit has kept them for years. But your space is not passive. It is shaping you every single day. The position of your bed, the emptiness or fullness of the air around it, the objects you choose to keep or let go of, all of these decisions are silently teaching your mind how to live. When you treat the head of your bed as sacred, you are practicing awareness in its purest form. You are saying to yourself that rest is not just the absence of activity, it is the foundation of every activity that follows. You cannot build clarity on top of chaos, and you cannot expect strength if you allow your most vulnerable hours to be disturbed by unnecessary weight. By arranging your space with simplicity and stillness, you align yourself with the natural rhythm of life, where balance supports growth and silence gives birth to strength. It is easy to underestimate the impact of environment because it works slowly, like water carving stone. One night of restless sleep may not seem like much, but 1,000 nights of restless sleep becomes a character, a way of being, a destiny. In the same way, One small decision to clear the head of your bed may feel unimportant, but in time it accumulates into vitality, clarity, and abundance. This is how transformation always works, quietly, patiently, through consistent alignment. What is important here is not to follow a rigid rule, but to awaken sensitivity. Ask yourself, what does this space make me feel? Does it invite me to rest, or does it remind me of tasks, fears, and burdens? If you listen carefully, you will notice that your body already knows. It relaxes when the space is pure. It tenses when the space is heavy. The body is honest. It does not lie the way the mind sometimes does. And when you begin to live with this kind of awareness, something remarkable happens. The discipline you apply to your bedroom begins to spread into every part of your life. You stop tolerating clutter in your mind. You stop allowing toxic influences in your relationships. You stop keeping things that drain you of energy. What starts as a simple act of arranging your resting place becomes a philosophy of living with clarity and intention. So clear the space, not only to protect your sleep, but to remind yourself that your life deserves to be lived consciously, with no room for unnecessary weights.